A project that some of you know about that I work on quite a bit is to use things we normally throw away for art projects. I started this before recycling was as big a deal as it is today, but today I'm going to show you this, which food came in. What it looks like to me is a skeleton, and as you also know, I really do a lot with painting skeletons, especially for the Halloween period. So I'm going to, today I'll just show you painting this one black, and then I will paint a white skeleton on it. Here is one that I did in a variety of colors. It's a similar object, and I painted it with copper paint, blue around the edge, painted the skeleton and a face in white, and it has various appendages that nobody can really tell which is which, and that's fine with me. So that's all I have to say about this one, and I'm just going to paint this, and I thought, you can just see what it's like to put some paint on something. Since we no longer have art in the schools in the way that we did when I was growing up, there are a lot of people who are not familiar with what it means to put some paint on something. Maybe to paint a wall, which is a different thing. If you're painting the wall of a room, you want a particular kind of regularity. And a lot of people today use a roller rather than a brush to do that, which is totally reasonable. When I was a kid, my mom taught me how to paint walls, and she was quite particular with it, painting walls and painting woodwork. And when I'm working on a piece that does not have a practical use like a wall or woodwork, one is much freer. However, I also advocate, especially in these days of COVID, though maybe we're getting toward the end of that, using whatever you've got at home to make art. I had a friend who was at a conference with me. It was a computer conference. We were both involved with the publications end of the computer world. It's always nice to have a how-to book. And we were out in Walnut Creek, California, looking at a gorgeous view of Mount Diablo. We both wanted to sketch it. I had some pens or pencils in my purse. She didn't. So what she did was she got out her makeup kit. And she had a mascara brush in there and various blushers and so forth and so on. So she did a very nice Mount Diablo sunset with her makeup kit. And I think that's always good. Good to know that we have those options. Drawing with a lipstick is totally great. Might want to have a little something on top of it if you have a plastic bag with you or something to carry it after you've done that, but media are everywhere.
I once met a woman named Shigeko, and she apparently had an kind of an artist career in Santa Cruz. And at the time I met her, she had recently set up a new room with, maybe 60 or 80 lipsticks ready to go so that she could paint, I guess draw probably with the lipsticks. And she clearly had a quite, you know, Asian background and in Asian painting and those kinds of things, and Western art too. And I was pretty impressed.
One of the wonderful things about doing something like this is that people do join in. And like Bob's story right now is a good example of that. When we do art, make things, it inspires our friends to join in. And I never met that lady, but I think what she was doing was just magnificent. Okay, this is it for now. This is a bit uneven. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I might make that the bottom. But when this dries, which it will take overnight to do, I will use white to do something like this. And then I've got paint on my hands. I will be going to wash that off. We're going to paint the skeleton on the food box that has been painted black, just so you see the natural that you might have seen in the store. The horizontal and vertical lines suggested a skeleton to me, and I like skeletons at Halloween. So I opened the paint, and it is a nice full jar of paint from the manufacturer. However, the protective piece of paper between the lid and the jar ended up being full of paint, probably because of the way I moved the jar around. So I did a little swearing, and I got some water and cleaned it up, and we're ready to go. So you can see how deep that paint is on that lid. Creates its own little snowy circumstance. And I'm going to do the head here. This is the kind of thing that is never going to turn out the way you think it will. So let that be the case. There. Looks more like a cat's face than a human being. But I'll make some ears on it. Maybe that will help. I like augmenting skeletons. And then I'm just going to paint across there. In some media, when you get something like this, it's called flying white. And that is from a phrase from Asian ink painting. It often can be more dynamic than simply a solid color. There's some ribs. I may do this one. Never did this before. Coming down like that. And going across like this. The other one I showed you had several colors on it. This one I just wanted to keep black and white. So we're going to have fingers here. And over here. And ribs. The ribs are going to stay as they are. And then the feet are going to come out. In any way you can do it, because this will never turn out the way you plan. And maybe a little bit more for the top of the head. Okay. An art object.
Are you going to sign it?
Sign it. Okay. I'm going to take a slight break here and go get a smaller brush. Okay, this is one of the brushes that I use for signing artwork. And I'm going to try to sign it way down here because I really don't want it to double up with...
Can you sign it on the bottom edge? The front edge, and not the...
No, because I'll have my initials and then the year, and that won't... I don't think that's going to work. I'll put the year down here.
You could put it all TJ and then 22 all on the bottom.
No, I don't. That's what I don't want to do.
Okay.
I don't want it to go across all the way like that.
Right.
Just for some reason of composition. We all have our ideas about composition, and some of them work out and some of them don't. There. Okay. Fini.